So last time we talked, I was cutting bananas and planting pineapples. So let's do an update. Those bananas, when they came ripe really fast. And I believe I ate one of those on my live stream. By the next morning, that whole bunch had just gone past. What I should have done, how do you like that pause? That's like when they say what you should have done, and then that's a cliffhanger into the next episode. But what I should have done was taken them all and froze them. And then once they're frozen, you could do different things with them. You could use them later, to make banana bread, or you can use them in smoothies or whatever. I ended up just throwing the bunch away. So, hello. I see people are commenting. So I am seeing you, but I am not seeing the comment thing off to the side. Not on mine, anyways. I wonder why that is. Um, oh well. Oh well. I'm seeing it on my screen anyway. So go ahead and give the thumbs up, by the way, if you're in here right now. So that was the last time we talked. And how is the pineapple doing? It's growing. I mean, I'm not seeing any noticeable growth. It's adapting. It's out there in the hot, humid weather, which is what it thrives on, but it looks exactly the same as when I planted it. So this is going to be a slow process. It's going to be about 2 years before I see a pineapple that I can cultivate, right? So I don't know. Maybe I'll start seeing some flowering before then. Maybe it should start to grow, some bigger foliage and leaves. Okay, what about that? Foliage or foliage? Kind of annoys me when people say foliage, because when you say someone's married, you talk about marriage. It's spelled the same way, IAGE, right? I say foliage, just like I say marriage. All right. So anyway, um, so yeah, I think that as far as the pineapple is concerned, that's going to be a long process. Hopefully, we look back on this video in a year and a half or 2 years and we say, it's ready. And there we go. Okay, the big news of this week, not the cruise, although the cruise is going to be kind of fun, but the big news is I saw my first Florida Panther. And it's not just that, but I saw it in my own backyard. You heard right. Um, Thursday morning, I I have my bedroom, the way my house is built, the in the bedrooms, the windows are really low. They're probably, I'm looking at one right now, they're probably about 2 feet off the ground to the bottom of the window. So that's pretty low window. So of course, when I'm laying in bed, I'm higher than 2 feet, so I can look straight out. Maybe it's a little more than that, but not much more. So I can look straight out into my yard. And it was 4:15 in the morning. I have some motion activated lights out in my backyard. And I think what woke me up were the lights turning on, because the lights turn on. I'm, what, 2 feet, 3 feet from the window, whatever it is. My bed's right by the window. And so the light came on. I woke up and I saw this big cat walking right past the window. Now, when I say right past the window, if it was actually right outside the window, I wouldn't have been able to see it because it would have been too low. But I kind of reconstructed it, and I figured it was probably about 10 feet out, 10 feet away from the house, because in order for me to see the body of that panther, he would have had to be about at the edge of my patio. So my patio, I think, is about 10 or 12 feet. So wherever that is where he would have been. Maybe not quite that far because he's elevated, right? Because he's on his feet. But that was very cool. I saw a panther walk by, and of course, you just wake up, you're a little groggy, and so what I did, very stupidly, got out of bed and I ran out to my lanai. Of course, by that time he was gone. But one of my cats was in there looking off in the direction where it had just passed, and but he wasn't there. What I should have done is just ran up to the window, right, and looked out the window, and I would have had a much better view of him. But for some reason, I thought I'd run out to the lanai and see him. Um, but that's very, very cool. Now, the bad thing is I didn't get him on my camera. I do have a night cam out there, but I just had some hurricane blinds installed, and I had to have the camera taken off so I could have those put in because they all wind up above the top of the lanai. And that's where my camera was that looked out over my yard. So I had the camera taken off and I never put it back. So the most exciting thing in the 4.5 years that I've lived here, walked into my yard and I didn't see it. I mean, I saw it. I didn't get it on camera though. So that was pretty exciting though to see a Florida Panther right in your backyard. I mean, it was a bit, at first I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was like seeing Bigfoot or something. That would be the only thing that would surprise me more if the skunk ape would walk out into my backyard. Hey, how do you feel about our set today? We're back with some of the old knickknacks. Um, every one of these, as you know, tells a story. I've gone through them all once before, but that was my visit to the Wright Brothers Museum. Some of you may remember I put um, that plane together on camera, and it wasn't flying. And then someone said, "You're flying it backwards because that little tail is actually the front of it." And and then here we have what is that? That's one of my either Route 66 or no, that's the that one is from Wisconsin. That's the you won't be able to see because everything's in reverse, but it's watermelon soda, and that's a little critter that hangs out in Wisconsin there. So, and they're just these are all things from trips that I've been on or different things. That one's Route 66, and that one's the Wisconsin one. So I was right the first time. And that's Route 66 as well. And what do we got back here? I don't know, just a lot of other stuff. There's a Space Needle from Seattle. So those are all different trips that I've taken. I don't usually like to turn around and turn my back to my audience when I'm live. I can't. Well, I guess I could go back and cut that out, but I'm not going to. All right. So, um, did I break my healthy lifestyle? Did I stop my healthy lifestyle? Well, sort of, but I'm right back at it now. I mean, obviously, you've seen me now with a couple of drinks. I went to the CJ's at the Esplanade on Marco Island, and I had dinner there and had a sandwich and a drink. And then I was on the cruise ship, and you saw I had a drink in my hand. But that's been two in months and months. But I'm back to my healthy lifestyle now. And that's not good, to jar your body like that when it's you. And I'll tell you, I felt it. Um, you eat like once you're eating healthy for months on end, and then you have something like a cheeseburger or French fries or alcohol, and it's amazing how much you notice that. And it kind of tells you that, hey, you're not supposed to be doing this. This isn't the way that you're supposed to be treating your temple, because my body is a temple, right? You're all aware of that. But that's not the way you're supposed to, treat the temple. So yes, I'm now back. I put on a few pounds by doing that. So that tells you it's not right either, right? So I went on the cruise ship and I sampled a lot of the stuff on the cruise ship. And now I came back and I am back in my controlled environment, which is my home. And it's the simplest thing is don't buy bad stuff and it won't be around and you'll avoid temptation. That's not the whole concept, but that is a lot of it. I'll tell you, that is, about 75 or 80%. If I feel like I want to snack on something, there's nothing to snack on. I have no option but to grab a celery stick or something. So do I like it? No, I don't always like it. Sometimes I'd like to, grab something that's really bad, like a piece of cake or chocolate pudding or, piece of chocolate, or take a spoon and start digging into a jar of peanut butter or something. Of course I would like to do that. But, I worked really, really hard to lose all this weight. And it's not just the weight loss. I mean, I like that I've lost weight. I mean, these shirts now are all real heavy and big on me now. But It's nice that I lost weight. It's nice. I think I look better. That's not the reason for it, though. The real reason is I'm healthier, you know. So anyhow, so yeah, I did stray a little bit, but I am back on target now. And let's talk about the cruise ship. What was that all about? You know, there's a big story behind it. Don't want to get too you know, gushy and mushy and all that. But when we were down here in Florida, and my wife and I, you know, always thought we would be doing a lot of Florida things and, you know, going to the Keys and this and that. And then life got in the way. A lot of things that I haven't gone into on this channel um, that I'm not going to, but things just happened that interrupted us. And then, you know, not the least of which was caring for her parents, my wife's parents who live down here. And then she got sick. My wife got sick and she got diagnosed. And so all of that, you know, out of the like 4 years that we were here, not even, she didn't even make it 4 years being down here. Probably three, and COVID got in the way too. So many of so much of that was just taken up by other things that we didn't expect. So um, when she was getting near the end, and you know, she had her diagnosis, and you know, she went pretty fast. And one of the things that just this has stayed with me. She said, "Don't put things off." You know, so I had a few days. I don't know if you're all aware, but I do work full time, and I had a few days, and I thought, what do I want to do with my time off? You know, I didn't want to just sit around the house and clean the house or do some yard work or whatever. I just thought I want to get away, and I thought, what's a Florida thing? And a Florida thing is a cruise ship, and I have not been on a cruise in over 15 years. The last cruise, hey Maxie, my buddy Max is down here. The last cruise that I was on was a cruise of the Hawaiian Islands, and it was back, I think, in 2008. So it's been a long, long time, 17 years. Um, so I thought I'm going to take a cruise, and I looked, and they didn't have any real short ones. The only one was at Margaritaville. And the Margaritaville has a reputation. I started looking online, everything just has a reputation as being the worst cruise ship. And I thought, well, a lot of that's because it's a real old ship. You know, it's like 30 years old. And I thought people just aren't used to these small ships. You know, they used to all be smaller like that, you know, the Love Boat type thing. And they're just not used to that. So that's what I thought. And so I went on, and, you know, you can watch our videos. I don't want to go into a lot of detail with that. But um, you know, it's kind of nice because I was able just to drive to the port. It was about a 2.5 hour drive from where I live to West Palm Beach. And so I was able to drive there. It was much easier and far better organized than I thought it was, based on the reputation of the cruise line. And, you know, for the first couple hours, it was a lot of fun. You know, we got on and we ate, and I realized, boy, this food isn't that good, but maybe this is just, you know, first day food to get people through. Unfortunately, it wasn't. And so I went, and you know, there was one young guy that I watched his whole video. He did a pretty thorough video of this particular ship that I was on. And he was painting such a beautiful picture. And I think he was looking to get some free cruises. That's what I really think he was doing. Because, you know, he was saying, oh, this cheeseburger in Paris is the best cheeseburger I ever ate. And, you know, it's not like, sorry, I keep rubbing my nose. I got a little itch in my nose. That sometimes happens. You notice that happens when I get live. They say if your nose itches, you're going to kiss a fool. So I don't know about that. There's nobody here. So anyway, I'll give you an example. The Cheeseburger in Paradise. Okay, it's a cheeseburger bar, and you go up and they give you the cheeseburger on a bun um, with some fries, and then you can go through the line and put what you want on it. But you know what I envisioned was, you know, a grill back there and someone taking these fresh meat patties and popping them on the grill and then frying them up. And how do you want yours? You know, medium rare, medium well, well done, you know. And it wasn't that at all. They just came with a big steel tray of hamburger patties, already cooked. I'm sure they just put them in the oven. I'm sure they were not even made on a real grill. I'm like 98% sure. I would bet on it. So you're getting this kind of pre-made hamburger that's sitting, in the warming tray, and then they plop it on. So, it was fine. It was edible, but it certainly wasn't what that kid was, that young man was saying it was. So that was my first glimpse, and I realized, okay, the food is not going to be good here. So if you watch the videos, that's all I'm going to tell you about the food. I talked a lot more about the food on there. Um, Cabins were great, and the ship itself was really, really nice. I mean, for a small ship, it was um, it was nice and neat and clean, and you could tell it was old. There was some places you could just tell it was old and covered up. Unless they would go through the whole ship and replace the tile, you could look at the tile and see it's all cracked up and worn. So there were things like that. But for the most part, it looked like a nice, clean ship. They it's really cheap, so it's a real cheap cruise, and uh, everything is a la carte. It's Yeah, it's like one of those cheap airlines. You can get on, but if you want anything, you're paying. You're paying, you're paying, you're paying. So almost nothing was included except that the less than mediocre food. That was about it. Um, but I dug my heels in. I was not going to spend money. I did not spend money. I didn't buy anything extra. I didn't buy a shore excursion. I did not buy a cocktail. I did not buy so much as a glass of water. Well, I kind of did that because I bought that backpack with the 6 bottles of water because I knew they wouldn't let you bring water on the ship. And I knew if I was going to get off in the Bahamas and walk around, I was going to be getting hot. So I ordered their hydration package. And what that is, it's a backpack. They sell it as a cooler, but it's a backpack with kind of that silver lining on the inside to make you think it's insulated. And it had 6 bottles of water in it, and that was $32. But you got the backpack and 6 bottles of water. So if you buy water, they're going to charge you what, $4 or $5 a bottle of water anyway. So there you go. You could buy the plain backpack with nothing in it for $29 on board. And for double that, the 64, you could get it with a 6 pack of beer in there. So there you go. But that's the only thing that I paid for. So I really did truly get the cut rate cruise. But it was a nice cabin. The cabins were really well done, and I had little portholes so I could see the world go by or the water go by. And so it was very cool. And what do I have in store for this week? Well, got a couple more videos coming up from the cruise. I'm going to certainly do a video on Nassau, Bahamas. I'm going to do a video on that. And I got a few other things up my sleeves. And yeah, I'm sort of planning out the future. It's hard to believe that we are already in August. We're heading pretty soon, next month. We're just, what, a week and a few days away from September, and we're in the final third of the year. Man, that's unbelievable how quickly that went, isn't it? So yeah, that's it. That is our updates for this week. If there's anything you want to know, ask away. If you're watching this later, leave your comments. I'm happy to answer questions. I don't know if I've been bitten by the cruise bug, but maybe I'd like to take another cruise on a little better cruise line. The problem is they ain't cheap. If I keep buying the cheap ones, then they are cheap, but then you get what you pay for. So I don't know. The same cruise line, Margaritaville, has a different ship. It's supposed to be a little better ship. It sails out of Tampa. I think it goes for either 3 or 4 day cruises. And where does it go? I know it goes to Key West and I don't know, somewhere else down there in the Caribbean. So maybe I'll look into that and take a few. But I have a lot of timeshare points I have to burn up in Orlando. So I guess I'm gonna have to buy the most palatial suite they have, just to, because it's, use them or lose them, and they can carry over into the next year. But I'm already on the points that have carried over from last year, so I have a lot of them. So I think I'm gonna have to just start burning through those. And other than that, that's about it. So I have a few things on the back burner that I don't want to talk about yet, because if they don't happen, then I am always sorry that I brought them up. But keep watching, and leave your comments. I always love to read them. And same as right here, I know that you can be doing other things. So thank you for being with me. I do appreciate it. It is you know something that it just means the world to me. So I appreciate everyone, and we'll see you back here next Sunday. Bye.